In a quiet village surrounded by lush fields and winding paths, Mama Taitai would sit her daughter, Abialosa, down to teach her about the important matters of life and destiny. Mama Taitai was a determined woman who, despite life's hardships and her own unfulfilled dreams, made a firm decision that her daughter must rise above every challenge and fulfill her God-given destiny. She consistently taught Abialosa to be resilient and to stand her ground until she achieved all her dreams, no matter the obstacles. Mama Taitai often reminded her that success demands determination, courage, and unwavering faith, even when the odds seem impossible. Abisola was just 14 years old when tragedy struck. Her beloved mother, Mama Taitai, passed away after a long illness. Abisola was left devastated, but Mama Taitai's last words to her still rang in her ears. "Never let your dreams die. My daughter, you're destined for greatness." Abisola knew that she had to keep going, for her mother's sake and for the sake of her destiny. But the struggles didn't end there. Papa Tund, her father, worked tirelessly but earned very little. Despite his love for Abisola, he believed that it was impossible for her to attend university. "Education is a luxury we can't afford," he would say, discouraging her dreams of becoming a doctor. Abisola's heart was broken, but she refused to let her circumstances define her future. She knew that she had been given a calling and a purpose, and she would stop at nothing to fulfill it. She had always loved God, and her faith became her foundation. She prayed every day, asking God for strength and guidance. Despite the odds, Abisola began to work hard to save money for her education. She started by selling zobo, a popular Nigerian drink made from hibiscus leaves, around her neighborhood. She would wake up early in the morning to make fresh batches and sell them to people passing by. In the evenings, she would work as a cleaner at a local store, sweeping floors and washing dishes to save every penny she could. It was exhausting, but she kept pushing forward. Abisola had a love for learning, and every night, she would read her mother's old books by candlelight, learning about the world beyond the village. But her father's refusal to support her education made her question if her dreams were even possible. Still, she held on to hope, determined to break free from the chains of poverty. However, her determination was constantly tested. One day, a wealthy man named Chuka walks up to Abisola as she sets up her zobo stall by the roadside. He smiles at her, his clothes expensive and his car gleaming in the sun. "Hello, beautiful. You work so hard. I could give you money to make your life easier. All you have to do is spend some time with me." Abisola pauses, shocked, but with determination in her eyes. "No, thank you, sir. I won't trade my dignity for money." Chuka laughing, sneering. "You're foolish. All these dreams won't get you anywhere. But I understand. A girl like you doesn't need money." Abisola watches him walk away, her heart racing. For a moment, the temptation weighs heavily on her. She looks at her hands, which are rough from work, but she knows she can't give in. Abisola knew many women in her community who had given in to such temptations, but she vowed to remain true to herself. She refused Chuka's offer despite the temptation. Abisola stood firm, knowing that compromising her morals would only lead to regret. Months pass, and Abisola works even harder. She begins cleaning at a nearby store after selling zobo, staying up late into the night to study. But then, a life-changing opportunity arrives. A scholarship program is announced by a wealthy university in the city. Abisola receives an invitation to apply, but as she reads the offer letter, her heart skips a beat. To be accepted, she is asked to meet with the university's financial sponsor, who insists she must prove her worth before receiving the full scholarship. Her heart pounds as she realizes the sponsor is none other than Chuka. Abisola, filled with doubt, decides to decline Chuka's offer. But as she walks away, she overhears a conversation from two girls in her class. The first girl said, "Did you hear? Abisola refused a scholarship offer. She could have gotten everything she wanted." The second girl replied, "She's too proud. Who needs dignity when you can have a better life?" Abisola spends sleepless nights debating. The scholarship could be the breakthrough she needs, but it comes with a heavy price. She seeks counsel from her best friend, Said, who listens patiently. "Said, Abisola, you don't need to compromise who you are. God has a plan for you. You will find a way without giving up your morals." After some weeks, Abisola receives a mysterious letter in the mail. It's a scholarship from an anonymous donor. The letter simply says, "Your faith has not gone unnoticed. We believe in you." Abisola stares at the letter in shock, not understanding who could have helped her. A sense of peace washes over her. She knows this is God's intervention. The scholarship was a lifeline, a hope that she could break, free from the poverty that had held her family down for generations. But there was one problem. The scholarship covered her tuition, but it didn't cover the cost of food, books, or accommodation. Abisola would still have to find a way to support herself. Abisola walks through the university gates, a mix of excitement and fear on her face. She's finally here, but the road ahead is long. The university was a whole new world. Abisola found herself overwhelmed by the pressure of academic work and the financial burden of everyday life. The scholarship was a blessing, but it was not enough. She had to find ways to make money, so she started selling her zobo again on the side and worked late into the night cleaning stores. Each day was a battle, but she kept her focus on her dream. Abisola faced constant battles within the walls of the university. She wasn't just fighting to learn, she was fighting to survive. School was hard, difficult lectures, endless assignments, and a lack of financial support. Many times, she felt like quitting, wondering if her dreams were too big for someone like her. One evening, Abisola sits in the corner of the campus, exhausted from a long day of work and studies. Her phone buzzes with a message from a man who had approached her earlier, offering money in exchange for her company. "Abisola, I can help you with all your expenses if you spend some time with me. You don't have to struggle anymore." Abisola feels the temptation, but deep inside, she knows that compromising her values is not the way forward. She deletes the message, choosing to stand firm. Abisola sits at a desk, staring at a recent exam result. It's a failure, and the weight of disappointment is almost unbearable. She had worked so hard, and yet, it felt like she was falling short. Tears well in her eyes as she recalls the sacrifices her mother made to ensure she had a chance at a better life. Abisola had reached a breaking point. The exams had drained her spirit, and she was on the verge of giving up. Her mind raced with doubts. "Maybe I'm not cut out for this," she thought. "Maybe I should just go back home." But in that moment of despair, Abisola heard her mother's voice whisper in her heart, "You can't give up now. You're destined for greatness. You're made for more. Don't let failure define her." Determined, Abisola hits the books harder than ever before. She revisits her notes, attends extra tutorials, and seeks help from her professors. Slowly but surely, her grades begin to improve. Abisola's resilience paid off. The hardships she faced only made her stronger. By her second year, she had become one of the top students in her class, and even her lecturers began to recognize her potential. She had proven that no setback was too big to overcome. Abisola's determination only grew stronger. She was not just studying to become a doctor, she was studying to become a voice for those who, like her, had to overcome hardship and poverty. Her story spread across the university, inspiring many others who had similar struggles. She became known as the resilient Lady of Abisola, a young woman who refused to be defined by her circumstances. Abisola's transformation didn't happen overnight, but with each step, she proved that failure was not her destiny. Her hard work paid off, and soon she became one of the top students in her class. Her determination and focus became an inspiration to her classmates. Abisola is invited to speak at the University Fellowship, where she shares her testimony of faith and resilience. She becomes the new leader, guiding the group with a steady hand and a strong heart. "Abisola, I stand here not because I am perfect, but because God has been faithful. No matter what you're going through, don't give up. I have struggled, and I have fallen, but I have also risen. No matter what life throws at you, remember that God is with you. Keep your faith strong, and don't compromise your values." Abisola's leadership didn't just come from her academic excellence, but from her heart. She led with love, compassion, and an unwavering belief in the power of faith. Under her leadership, the fellowship grew in numbers and in spirit. Abisola became a role model, showing her peers that faith and hard work could break down any barrier. The fellowship grows, and Abisola's leadership becomes a beacon of hope. The ultimate test came as she approached the final hurdle of her academic journey. One of her lecturers, who was overseeing her final year project, called her into his office. He demanded that she sleep with him, threatening that if she refused, he would fail her project. Abialosa was devastated. This was the project she had poured her heart into, and she knew it would determine whether she graduated or not. Tears filled her eyes as she left his office. Fear gripped her heart, but so did a righteous anger. She knelt in prayer that night, pouring out her heart to God. Lord, you brought me this far, and I know you will not let the enemy triumph over me. Fight for me and make a way where there seems to be no way, she cried. As she prayed and fasted over the next few days, she felt a deep assurance that God was with her. Meanwhile, something miraculous happened. That night, the lecturer had a terrifying dream. In the dream, a bright figure appeared to him, and the voice of God spoke clearly. Do not touch my anointed or do her any harm. If you try, you will face my wrath. The lecturer woke up trembling, unable to shake the fear from his heart. The next day, he called Abialosa into his office, but this time, his tone was different. He apologized and told her he would approve her work without any problems. Abialosa was amazed and thanked God for his intervention. To her surprise, her testimony didn't end there. The lecturer's actions came to light when other students reported similar incidents. The university authorities investigated, and he was removed from his position. Abialosa completed her project under a new supervisor and graduated with honors. Her story inspired many people, showing them that God is faithful and fights for those who put their trust in him. Abisola walks through the university campus, now a confident young woman with a purpose. Her classmates greet her with respect, and younger students approach her for advice. Abisola became a standard for many, not because she was perfect, but because she remained true to herself, never compromising her values. Her story became one of hope and inspiration. She showed that anyone, no matter their background, could rise to greatness with faith, hard work, and resilience. The campus buzzes with excitement as graduation day approaches. Abisola walks gracefully through the university grounds, her confidence radiating. She greets students with warm smiles, and younger students flock to her for advice. Abisola, your leadership workshop changed my mindset. Thank you. So much, the first student said. Another student said, your story gives me hope. I won't give up. Abisola's heart swells with gratitude. She had become more than just a student. She was now a mentor and a beacon of hope. The university chapel is softly lit with candles. A worship service is underway. The atmosphere is thick with reverence. At the pulpit stands Pastor David Adeyemi, a young, dynamic preacher known for his powerful sermons and deep compassion. His voice is calm yet commanding. Pastor David said, God doesn't choose the qualified. He qualifies the chosen. Your past does not cancel your future. Abisola, sitting quietly at the back, listens intently. His words stir something within her. After the service, people approach Pastor David for prayers. Abisola hesitates but starts to leave quietly. Pastor David said, "Excuse me, sister." She turns surprised. Pastor David smiling, "I couldn't help but notice how deeply you were listening. God has placed something powerful in you. Keep nurturing it." Abisola smiles shyly. Abisola said, "Thank you, Pastor. Your message spoke directly to me. I'm David. And you are?" Abisola, she answered. They exchange a warm handshake. Something unspoken lingers between them, a spark of mutual respect and admiration. They meet again at student fellowship programs, exchanging thoughts on faith and leadership. David invites Abisola to join a community outreach program, where they minister to underprivileged children. Laughter, deep conversations, and silent glances reveal a growing bond. The grand auditorium is filled with joy and excitement. Graduates sit proudly as families cheer. Abisola, as the best graduating student, stands at the podium, giving her graduation speech. The camera pans over her proud father, Papa Tunt, who watches his daughter with tears in his eyes. Abisola smiling through tears. To every girl out there, every person struggling, never let your circumstances define your destiny. Faith and hard work will carry you through. If I can do it, so can you. We don't give up here. The audience erupts in applause, and Abisola's heart swells with pride. She has overcome every obstacles, and she's no longer just a young girl from a small village. She's become a beacon of hope for others. After the graduation ceremony, there's a small reception in a beautiful garden. Soft lights twinkle among the trees. Abisola stands alone for a moment, reflecting. Pastor David approaches, holding 2 glasses of juice. Pastor David smiling. A toast to the woman who moved the entire hall today. They clinked glasses. Abisola, your strength reminds me of Esther. Bold yet humble. I see God preparing you for something greater. Abisola blushes slightly. And you remind me of Nehemiah building and restoring lives. You inspire me too. A moment of silence. A deeper connection forms. Perhaps we could inspire each other more? Over coffee? Pastor David suggested. Abisola smiles. I'd like that. Few years later, a vibrant crowd gathers outside a growing ministry. A large banner reads, Kingdom Impact Ministry Annual Conference. Abisola, now elegantly dressed, welcomes guests with grace. Beside her, Pastor David Adeyemi stands, now her husband, addressing young leaders. Pastor David, impact starts with surrender, and I thank God for blessing me with a woman whose story touches countless lives. Abisola smiles, her hand resting on his arm. Abisola's journey didn't just end with personal success. God aligned her path with a man of vision, and together, they built a ministry that transformed lives. Her story reminds us that when you walk in purpose, love and destiny find you. Moral story 1. You can be a voice for change. Abisola became a role model because she stayed committed to her values. Her journey teaches that your life can be a source of inspiration to others. 2. Purpose attracts purpose. When you stay committed to your calling, God brings people into your life who align with that purpose. Abisola and David's union was built on shared vision and faith. 3. Love finds you in your purpose. Abisola wasn't searching for love. She was living in purpose, and in that journey, she met a partner who complemented her calling. 4. Faith and resilience overcome all obstacles, no matter how tough life gets. Staying true to your faith and never giving up will guide you through. 5. Setbacks are stepping stones. Every failure is a lesson in disguise. Abisola turned her failures into triumphs through hard work and perseverance. 6. Faithful preparation leads to divine connection. Both Abisola and David were preparing in their separate lanes, but God brought them together when the time was right. 7. 2 are better than 1. Their union became a platform to impact more lives, showing that partnerships rooted in God's purpose bear fruit beyond personal success. Let me hear other moral story you learned in the comments section. What do you also think about Abisola and David's journey? Share your thoughts in the comments section.